Travis Wingenzel. Thanks to the power outage today, I'm doing this video now. We have an anniversary in church history today. And before I give you the main part of the video, in American history, there was a major event that occurred on 9/11/1826. It was massive. It resulted in major changes in America. It resulted in much confusion and therefore was turned into a mystery because it was never solved. Nobody ever figured out what happened. And because nobody knew, lots and lots of speculation occurred that resulted in, over time, turning that speculation into truth. And so, yeah, when you hear an American talk about it, you can tell, if you know the origin and the actual historical information, that these people are way off base and they're using it to project their particular agenda to attack and destroy America instead, or a particular group of people. Because that's what illiteracy does to a person. It turns them into haters, and then with that hate, it escalates to violence. And so, let's get to the main part of the story. Under Wikipedia, Mormonism and Freemasonry. They have under historical connections the following. A significant number of leaders in the early Latter-day Saint movement were Masons prior to their involvement in the movement, including Heber C. Kimball, which you can click on the link here to Heber C. Kimball under Masonry, and he lies to you. Yeah, it's all a lie. We're not going to go over that again for you. And John C. Bennett. That caught my attention because I didn't know John C. Bennett was a Mason prior to involvement in the movement. And so knowing of the historical background prior to 9/11/1826, yep, I wanted to find out. What lodge was he in? Which rites was he in? And so I had to go to Mormon Wiki for John C. Bennett, because his Wikipedia page does not have him listed as a Mason prior to. And so, under Freemasonry, religion, military, and the Church of Jesus Christ, we have, in 1808, Bennett moved to Marietta, Washington County, Ohio. In 1812, he moved back to his home state of Massachusetts. And they don't talk about whether he was in the war. I mean, seriously, guys? The War of 1812? And he's going back to Massachusetts, and you don't cover this? And then in 1822, 10 years later, apparently he fought in the War of 1812 against the Brits and that Illuminati. He moved back to Marietta, where he married Mary A. Baker on 9 January 1826, 2 months before Joseph Smith would get arrested as a glass looker. But then somehow that September be able to appear before Moroni and get away with having taken out the Urim and Thummim prior to 1827. These are the things you got to catch on to when you're doing church history. You need to know the context. That's why I've always been telling you guys to have separate files for each of the categories of names, places, events, dates, so that you would know when you see, 1826, you go, oh, yeah, okay, that's involving such and such. And so 9/11, 1826, yeah, they don't talk about him being involved with it. But here they say about 1827, and I'm having a hard time with this. 9/11, 1826 ended Freemasonry. They had to go into hiding. They had to wait a while to reemerge, because this historical event in American history was huge. It burned down almost every single Masonic lodge in the United States of America. There's only about a few left out of the hundreds. This was huge. That newspaper reporter scared the American colonists. And still, to this day, nobody knows what happened. He apparently joined Pickaway Masonic Lodge in Circleville, Pickaway County, Ohio. Now, it's possible that after this, Ohio being on the far fringe of the West, that maybe they were trying to reemerge out there. We don't know. We'd have to go and find the Pickaway Masonic Lodge in Circleville, because I need to know what kind of lodge is it. And so, the super8th.org /23-Pickaway /. They have a whole webpage. Isn't that great? And so, on their homepage, way down quite a bit, thereafter a lodge was organized to be known as Pickaway Lodge number 23. It's the same lodge number in Canandaigua, New York. That's interesting. That there is a significance for this. In the Scottish Rites 23rd degree, it's based on a true incident during World War II, which, 100 years later, but nonetheless, and the heroic actions of 4 chaplains. We learn that a man who forgets his duty to God, ... So that does have significance in the Scottish Rite, involving heroic actions. Just like that mystery of 9/11, 1826. dare look it up. How long of a page is it? Okay, good. Knight of Valor is what it's called in the Scottish rites. They use degrees, not ranks. And so the 23rd degree is the Knight of Valor. Good, this is just quick and short. And apparently it was turned into a movie. Can I get a copy of this? No. Yes. Did it work? Yes. Interesting. Okay. Storyline. The 23rd degree is based on a true incident during World War II and the heroic actions of 4 chaplains. We learn that a man who forgets his duty to God, family, country, and himself puts himself in danger of moral and spiritual destruction. Philosophy. This degree teaches us that faith in God will find expression in love of our fellow man. Right, Mormons? The love of Jesus towards me? Even to the ultimate personal sacrifice. If you know the bigger picture like I do, you know how key that is to the Smith family. Tell us, Travis, what happened on 9/11/1826 that gave rise to the Book of Mormon and the church with Joseph, Messiah ben Joseph. And then the 23 Enigma. Apparently William S. Burroughs from World War II, or the second. American writer, visionary, visual artist, Beat Generation, major postmodern author. So no. But yeah, it has to do with valor. The Knight of Valor. So yeah, the concepts are similar, but there are differences. There are 32 degrees in Scottish rites and only 10 for York rites, at least pre 9/11/1826. So yeah, that's the reason for numbering the lodge as it is for that valor, purpose, and reason, as we just learned. And so, yeah, this was the lodge, so we've confirmed that there was a lodge. We haven't confirmed that John C. Bennett was a part of it, but, you know, the Mormons didn't reference properly. And so, the next thing we need to do is find out if it's a York rite or a Scottish rite. Heber C. Kimball claims he's York rite. Thus, he's lying on everything there. And if you know about 9/11/1826, you know he's lying. And so you want to look for one of the ranks of York rites or a degree in Scottish rites. That is your big clue as to which one they're talking about, which one they are. And so I had to scroll down until I found a Grand Master. And where are you? Where are you? I saw you. Where are you? Where's the Grand Master? Where are you? Please tell me I didn't pass it. I apparently passed it. Chapter Grandmaster, there it is. Grand Lodge of Ohio, Grandmaster William B. Thrall presiding. Scottish rites. Confirmed and established as fact by the actual organization themselves. And so these Mormons who put in John C. Bennett joined the Pickaway Mason Lodge, number 23, in Circleville, Pickaway County, Ohio, was Scottish rites. And we can also see when it was founded, 1815. God. So let's see if they talk about what happened in 1826. They don't. But from founding in 1815, they then skip to 1832. That's from their page. And then from there they skip all the way to 1875 on April 6th. Oh no! So, you know, they don't explain what happened during. Well, let's check events, unless this is current events. Yeah. Saturday, June 8th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., the 2024 annual golf outing, 8th Masonic District, at the Locust Hills Golf Club, 5575 North River Road, number 9341, Springfield, Ohio. Is that where the Simpsons are from? Is that the Springfield? That's the whole of the Masonic Lodge, which were also a part of the GOP. Hilarious. Okay, that's how you do research. Easy breezy cover girl, or maybe it was Maybelline. I was always doing easy breezy cover girl, and then Colin Jost, he adds to it. That was mine, and he added. Alrighty. So, on 15th of October, 1841, Abraham Jonas, then Grand Master of the Grand Lodge, AF and AM of Illinois, issued a dispensation empowering a lodge in Nauvoo and appointed the following individuals to be its officers: George Miller, Esquire, and its worshipful master. So Grand Master, worshipful master, Scottish rites. But this is post 9/11, 1826. The rules were less stringent, less strict. They needed people to come back. And so lots of things were changed. And so thus what you thought you think you know because you heard somebody else say something, you don't know. Even if you're the honorary 33rd degree in Scottish Rites, and you don't know what secret destruction for America they've got planned, it's because it's post 9/11, 1826. Don't fall for this. It's an anachronism. They're imposing the current structure today, pre 9/11, 1826, and that's a naughty no-no. You wouldn't put a modern interpretation on the Bible stories, would you, and claim that they're literal history as they should be now according to our current structure of understanding of words and interpretations and morals and values, would you? Of course you wouldn't. You're not stupid. It's called Wanda. That's why I'm on a stupid kick today. Unbelievable. That little tramp. 17 children. She's got to be 35 to 40 years old in this movie. How does she have 17 kids? British humor, I tell ya. And so, yeah, some other guys. And so they were not, well, George Miller was. He was in the Latter-day Saint movement, but these other guys are not listed as being Mormon. And so notice Joseph Smith is not a part of this in 1841. This empowered the Masons in Nauvoo to meet as a lodge. The lodge met on December 29th, 1841, and accepted this dispensation. Notice how they worded that. Officers for the lodge were then elected and appointed. Bylaws for the lodge were thereafter penned and adopted. On February 17th, 1842, the lodge voted to hold off on installing its officers until 15th of March. A request also was sent to Grand Master Jonas for him to preside over that installation, and he accepted. Joseph Smith was appointed to serve in a pro tempore, Senate pro tempore, sound familiar? Position as Grand Installing Chaplain for this installation. He and Sidney Rigdon were initiated as entered apprentices in the evening after the installation, thereby became members of the newly formed Nauvoo Lodge. Abraham Jonas presided over that degree ceremony because there was no Master Mason yet. And so, this is when Joseph Smith became a member, the very first degree. And it can be first rank, because it's the same in both rites. The first three are the same in both. And it's not until you branch off into Scottish or York that the differences are made manifest. And so, the next day, the 16th of March, Because this is significant, because this has to do with actual church history and prophecy for the latter days. Just as Joseph Smith needed to establish a temple for the Mormons so that parents can be sealed and have babies born in the covenant for the Latter-day Christ, remember? So too do the Scottish and Yorkites have the concept of preserving the secret of the Latter-day Christ. Thus the Yorkites has the cross, which is an X, not a T, except on the shields, but nonetheless. And a crown resting on the cross. No body. Now you would think, Jesus! You'd be wrong. Because they have the learning of the Jews. Solomon's temple. Osiris and Horus. Wow, yeah, wow. Because Knights Templar is Yorkites. Listen to this. It appears that John C. Bennett had a particularly strong influence in the spread of Freemasonry among the Mormons. Within the year, there were over 300 Masons in Nauvoo Lodge, which resulted in Meredith Helm, the then Grand Master, who had succeeded Jonas, Scottish Rites, to issue dispensations to form two other lodges in spring of 1843. One was called Nye Lodge, named for Reverend Jonathan Nye, who would later become Grand Master, Scottish Rites, of the Grand Encampment of Knights Templar, Yorkites, the highest rank. And Hem Lodge, named for the Grand Master who issued this dispensation. So do you see, a temple issues in a dispensation? Anyone familiar with the scriptures on this? Corinthians, dispensation of the gospel. Ephesians, dispensation of the fullness of times. Ephesians, let's get to, that's the dream of Joseph Fielding Smith. I beheld the faithful elders of this dispensation. Section 128. Adam down to the present time, all declaring their dispensation, their rights, their keys, and their honor. Yeah, dispensation is a bunch of times in verse 18, 4 times in 18. And then verse 9, 124, pertaining to the dispensation of the fullness of times. Section 121, while Joseph Smith was in Liberty Jail, shall be revealed in the days of the dispensation of the fullness of times. Yep, all the times of their revolutions, their appointed days, months, and years, and all the days of their years, months and years, and all the glories, laws, and set times shall be revealed in the days of the dispensation of the fullness of times, referring to the bounds set to the heavens or the seas or the dry land or to the sun, moon, and stars. Section 112, for the last days or for the last time, in which is the dispensation of the fullness of times. You didn't believe me? which power you hold in connection with those who have received a dispensation at any time from the beginning of the creation. Verily I say unto you, the keys of the dispensation which ye have received have come down from the fathers. And so let's check the date on 112. Thomas B. Marsh, 1837. Kirtland Temple dispensation. Ta-da! He's incorporating Freemasonry with the religion, but keeping them separate. But thus the reason for temples, to be endowed with power from on high. But that's curious that they, there's the nice Templar symbol in hoc signo vinces. In this sign shalt thou conquer. The Cairo. If you knew what I knew, but you don't believe, and you're not watching all my videos, so you have no idea what I'm talking about. Has to do with the Jewish Christ that was usurped by Constantine and by Brigham. Okay, so this is what upset this lodge, because on March 16th, Wednesday, and we can check, we can go to time and date, make sure they got it right. 1842. Yep, on a Wednesday. Yep. My birthday was on Thursday. Thus the Relief Society, which we're getting to. Let's find out when Purim was. Purim, apparently, was on the week after, on the, on the Sabbath. You gotta click more Jewish. I don't understand why. Purim is a big thing in the Jews. Yeah, the evening of February 24th. Yep. And so the 25th is the first day. And that's most likely because of the Sabbath being on the 26th. Wait a minute, no. It's Passover. Wow. First day of Passover, April 26th to April 2nd. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, so Purim was in February 24th. Interesting. Okay, so right before Passover. Interesting. And so thus it's important to know the Hebrew calendar, the Jewish calendar. Because Joseph Smith is incorporating Judaism. So, very significant. So yeah, he was raised to the degree, because it's Scottish rites, of Master Mason. Ooh, he skipped. And that's what pissed people off. What are you doing? We have to go through processes and procedures, like before 9/11/1826. There's still some old school Freemasons who want to restore the old order. But the Grand Master realizes we've got to make some changes for the new way, the new dispensation, so that we can be more inclusive. But, yeah, Brigham Young took advantage of this and had a whole bunch of his Danites brought into Freemasonry, which even infuriated this lodge from Illinois even further and got Brigham Young banned from Masonry as a result. And so this was right before Brigham Young then flees the country to murder natives here in the valley to establish his kingdom. And so, yeah, this is what is being done here. Joseph Smith already knows all of this through his father, who was the American hero of the greatest event in American history that changed the course of America forever, and nobody knows who he is except me. And so, yeah, on the 17th, Joseph Smith goes to the women and says, hey, you're now a Relief Society. They named it. They voted for their president. They did everything themselves. That's what Joseph Smith said they can do. You can pattern it after the priesthood if you want. You can do whatever you want. And so some dumbass put in, on 17th of March 1842, the Relief Society was established as an auxiliary group for the female members of the church. Its structure originally had similarities to that of the Masonic Lodge. No. Did you not bother to go to the minutes? Let's see who he referenced for this BS information. Freemasonry and Relief Society in Nauvoo. Retrieved 2022 1/27. It's a YouTube video? Oh my God! Oh my God! And it doesn't reveal who the dumbass is. Because he's hiding. But they're saying historians Christian Heimberger and Alex D. Smith review the history of Freemasonry and the Female Relief Society in Nauvoo. This is not a primary source. Dear God. The minutes, the Joseph Smith papers. How hard is it to reference that? It's after the priesthood. Joseph's priesthood was not the same as the ranks of Freemasonry. There was a huge difference. Brigham Young, however, and I've done those videos, by changing the administration structure and succession for the president of the church, Brigham Young therefore patterned after the Freemasonry mixed with a criminal mafia organization structure, in which, as priesthood holders, we have the lower ranks of the Aaronic priesthood, and we have to rise up from deacon to teacher to priest, and the bishop is in charge of the Aaronic priesthood. That's a ranked office as well. As when you get the Melchizedek priesthood, you first become a member of the Melchizedek priesthood, and then there are the ranks of elder, high priest, 70, used to have 70, and the area 70, the regional 70, regional representative, area representative, and then presiding bishopric, and you have stake, president, high council on the stake, and bishopric, and elders quorum president, high priest group leader, which got demoted from the high priest quorum of Joseph Smith. And now Nelson's done away with high priesthood altogether, putting you all into the elders. But yeah, this was a ranked process. And so, yes, Kieran, where did he come from? The presidency of the 70, to be put into the apostleship. This is what they're doing more commonly in these latter days, to pull the new apostle from the presidency of the 70. And there's been exceptions, obviously, but less so over the last couple, 20 years. And so that's something you need to be paying attention to, so that in the 12 apostles, the rank is by when you get put in to the apostleship. And so if you're the president of the 12, when the president of the church dies, you now become the president of the church instantly. But then they have the ceremony of the laying on of hands and setting you apart and ordaining you to the office. It's ridiculous, you don't need it, it's just for Mormons to feel like the church is true. And exactly how Joseph did it. Christian Jesus. Mormons won't be deceived, not at all. And so, yeah, it is structured similarly. You can't really do a 33-degree match with Scottish rites, because Brigham Young is turning the priesthood into the ranking structure. And you probably could, if I remember correctly. I think I did have the 33 ranks, but it's somewhat of a stretch. And so, yeah, technically the first 3 degrees, once you're a priest, you're a Master Mason. Wow, good for you. 16 years old and you're a Master Mason. Which for Brigham Young is nothing. But yeah, hilarious. Little kids as Master Masons. And so that's the history of today and tomorrow, and why Joseph Smith rushed to set up the Relief Society on the 17th. Because he knows the birth date of your Messiah Ben David, Mormons. The death corresponds with birth. It's a weird phenomenon. And I saw somebody trying to claim from a university the starting of St. Patrick. It was on the local news here in Utah. Dear God. Wrong. Trying to claim that the 17th was St. Patrick's birthday, not his death day. Wrong. If you're going to claim to be the one true source origin for St. Patrick, you got to actually be correct. So, yeah, should I do that again? It's the 17th, that's the birthday. This has to do with it. And Thomas B. Marsh getting booted out, that also has to do with it in connection with Deuteronomy 19 and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it's 8 o'clock. I need to get going here.